they want us to sign the contract?
Well, that's the thing, I need to get your signature, and I gotta send it over to Mitchell's, and have them sign so that I can get it done.
This is just for the coming year.
And,
Well, last time, we're gonna put more energy on this.
yeah, and it's more,
Yeah.
which is, okay. You see, you got something from Z?
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Really?
But I gotta look at it. She's building the second one.
It's like 3,500 for the whole year, isn't it?
Yes,
It's like, it's
3,500
supposed to be a
for the
quarter.
whole year. We paid 830, but we got the 80. Now, you're seeing, I told him, I have to ask for a signed contract,
Yeah, don't do anything without it.
and I'm not gonna do anything with that.
Well, we'll have to figure out what the hell it means. Sounds like,
Yeah, they provided the total with the first time. It's the 830 I've spent, so currently 1,600. So, we got the 830 plus the 1,600. The difference.
we follow our contract. That's why I told you I wouldn't sign their contract.
Yeah, well,
Now you know why.
we need to have the agreement on file.
Yeah, yeah, otherwise we can't go any further. We should never approve the first one.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so,
And we still don't have the money for the city.
no, not yet.
Wow. It's very quiet in here.
Yes, it is.
Becky, can you at least do taps?
Oh,
See, you're,
no, how about the old one? What was that one? Run, run, run. I can't do that chopsticks.
Oh,
That's my
chopsticks, there you go.
That's about it. Sorry.
Okay, so we know that we're gonna be without, Mayor Padilla today.
Okay.
He's in DC. He might call in. I don't think he's called me. I was checking my voice messages. Thank you.
No, but yeah, just,
I give you a flash drive, there's unfortunately
Tons of
things,
stuff on
right? Yeah. If you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see, there's like, stay away from the files, just go
Okay.
look for it. And you'll see the May and the executive director for June. You want the June.
okay, the June one?
Yeah.
Sounds good, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
And you're by the name?
William Welsh. Or
William?
Billy. He's called me Billy.
Willie.
Billy.
Billy, I like that better.
Too many Williams. but-
Billy Welch. Sounds like a guy from Boston. Wow. Well, this will be interesting. Oh, these are nice looking little tabs we have here. Did they give you an agenda box? They give you some of these things? You need one? We have extras.
No, I'm good. Gotta think about it.
Hey, you know, you're like me. If I don't need an extra piece of paper, I don't take it.
Yeah, really, that's about it. Sorry.
We all changed it. No way.
One change to your agenda, the meeting next month, if it's gonna be on a Wednesday, would be the 24th, not the 25th. Just FYI.
Using the wrong fiscal year. Well, thank you for that.
No problem. 25th, there's no way next month we're gonna be at the 25th also.
Yeah, this
That only
month
happens February and March.
it's always weird when you have a short month of 30 days and yet you still have 5 Wednesdays.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I'm looking at that being the 27th.
Yeah, I see the 27th for Wednesday.
Look at the wrong thing, hey, anything's possible. Okay, I'll take 27th, that sounds good too. I was looking at August, my bad.
That's really
I'm trying to
weird.
really confuse you guys. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Apologies. So just pick a date, pick a number, pick a
One
date.
month ahead, that's all.
Hi, David.
I got lucky. I remember my wife's anniversary, which was Monday.
Your wife's anniversary or birthday?
Her anniversary. Our anniversary. We can do it that way. I mean, I was giving her top billing.
¿Con quién se casó entonces? Her anniversary.
You guys picked up on that, huh?
Yeah, I pick up on a lot, David.
Well, in my
believe it or
mind, it
not.
was either the 20th or the 23rd. But I couldn't remember. And then I thought, well, let me go backwards. And I go, you know what? There's this thing called Google. So I just Googled the date. And I took the Saturday, which was June 20th. That's how I knew.
That's her anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in French, anniversaire is birthday. So maybe you're part French?
Could be.
How do these chairs, do they adjust to?
Are these new? They look new.
Looks like this one's new.
I think the simplest way is just switch it. Yeah, that one looks a little lower.
This one looks lower?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does, huh? But I think you can
You want it
adjust
higher? Well, you have to use the little pedals.
Oh, this.
There you go.
That doesn't, yeah, it's a little bit higher.
All right, let's see. So we've got no board members online yet. So we're waiting for Mayor
Do-
Trujillo to come online. She'll be.
So do we have people online? Oh, good.
Nora's coming in. She'll be here. And, yeah, I think we-
Nora's coming in
Commissioner- yes,
person?
and Commissioner Ellen. So those are.
And how about Javier?
He might call in from DC. He's out of town. So
Hi, Becky.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
we just need
Busy.
4.
Oh, no kidding. You are so
Busy.
busy. How about?
We just need 4 today. We've been having difficulty getting hold of Peter Atencio. He's our member from Hatch. Called in one time, but he hasn't been responding.
Why?
I don't know. We've always had difficulty with Hatch. They're very supportive. I go out and make presentations. They love us, but they pay on time.
Huh.
So those are all good things. It's just calling in.
Oh, well, you know, you do what you can.
All right, here comes the commissioner, I think. I hope. That'll give us 2 in the saddle. Sarah, you want to give Ms. Trujillo a call? Just to nudge the mayor of Anthony.
Does she go by Trujillo or Murillo?
Oh, that's right. Murillo. There you go.
Okay,
My
I'm
mistake.
just double checking because I'm trying to get
Good
this
evening,
straightened out.
good afternoon, sir.
She dropped the name of the guy named.
I had recent surgery, so I'm gonna keep the hat on,
That sounds fun.
okay?
I like the hat. So, USS,
What?
where's the
But you didn't hear it from us, okay?
It was a destroyer
Everything's already on the record.
out of,
Is it still with us?
oh no, it
That's
got
why I never
taken.
took my
This
husband's
was
name.
built during World
And then
War
after
II.
25 years of marriage, so it was,
Well, we've kept a lot of ships a long
there was.
time.
Well,
you
it
don't have to.
got
You can go by
decommissioned
any
in the
name you
late
want.
90s.
Wow, that lasted a long time.
Yeah.
It's a nice hat.
A lot of.
Oh, good, we have, all right, we got 3
Well,
in this.
that's okay, so long as you're still married.
Did you ask out of where was it?
And then,
Fort?
like,
Yeah.
you know, you
Newport, Rhode
want
Island.
your stuff in your
Oh, it's
name,
beautiful.
and then
You ever
it's
been
such a problem
Yeah.
when you've had.
How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good,
Nora?
good.
Good to see you.
Well, I mean, I was stationed there for 2 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Sad.
I know, and he was only
It's a beautiful
70.
area of the country. I was
Pero había
surprised.
estado muy malito, y ya la quería vivir. Pero it's still sad.
How nice it is. It's really not bad.
But anyway, we're worried about names and divorces and meeting those husbands.
Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon, you'll be chairing.
That's
You
what
got
I
the right
heard.
spot.
That's
I don't know that we'll see the mayor. He said he might come online. He is in DC.
Yeah.
We expect, Mayor Anthony to come online that will be before.
You want to change your name back to your maiden name?
We need her for a quorum.
Yeah, well, we lost that one. That's the
What
package.
happened?
They withdrew. In fact, they withdrew on May the sixth, so they weren't actually a member last month. But they didn't give us a letter. We got the letter, I got the letter last week.
Oh.
What's her name?
Agendized.
Oh, that's,
So
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I did talk to, oh no, let me reset that. I called the city manager.
Oh,
And
did
then-
you?
Then they said,
Yeah,
that's
I
how.
don't know.
Oh.
I mean, if you're still
Renee
married and
spoke to
everything,
Renee.
it's probably better not.
That's the city manager
Oh,
now.
you're not married?
Yeah.
Later, we got a divorce, yes.
Well, I'm sorry to
Entonces,
hear
¿para
that.
qué? No, I'm just kidding. No, I just that, yeah. I was.
Edna
just
used
make
to
things simpler,
represent that.
You know, because I had my passport before I
Trying to
got
think.
married and, you know, other stuff. my
So we need one
security
more stuff up
name
there.
and everything, so.
I had all that changed, and now, and I know the trouble I went through, and now I'm like dreading to have to go through all that again.
And then like your credit scores or your credit history.
That's why I haven't made that move yet, I'm like,
That's why, that's okay, that was,
yeah.
I thank God I just, I went to DMV to, this is in California, DMV, to change my name. And I was on the way to the office I was working
Albert's
at.
are.
And so they go, so what's it like to be married? And I go, oh, I don't like changing my name. And they go, you don't have to. And I said, well, I already went to DMV. And then one of the secretaries said, here, take my car, you can go. Because this was in San Francisco and I didn't have a car. I just used public transportation because it's so wonderful there. Like you don't need a car, thank God. And you can go to Oakland, you can go to Berkeley on BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit District. Wonderful. Wonderful. And well, in those days it was really, really cheap. And then like even the local transportation, if you didn't have the money, they didn't bother you. It was only like 10 cents or a quarter. You know, back in the day when everything was reasonable.
Yes.
But, yeah, so I went and so I said, and I saw the same clerk the day before. So I said, oh, he goes, oh, hi, you're back. Because I was his last customer and I was the first one in that room. And I go, oh, I said, did you get process? He goes, no, it's right here, fine. I said, because I don't want to change my name. He goes, okay, here. I said, what do I do? He just tear it up.
Oh, he's guessing that's it. Wow. When I was getting my
So
passport,
we don't even have.
because I was gonna go, my niece was getting married in Mexico on a cruise. So I found out, my mom taught me to spell my name wrong.
Oh, she's trying
My
to log
whole
in.
life, because on my birth certificate, my name's Loretta,
Well, that's what I said.
I spelled it with 2 T's and 1 R.
She said it
On the
yesterday.
birth certificate, she said she tried it with 2 R's
And-
and 1 T.
She says can't be.
The first time she tried. All my life, I said, now I have to go through all this trouble just to get that R removed and put the other T.
And did you?
Yes, I had to get a birth, well, the birth certificate, that's where I wanted to change it.
Mhm.
I had to get baptismal records,
Yeah.
records back
Yeah.
in school
Yeah.
that my name was spelled with 1 R and 2 T's. That was a
Dios
pain.
mío.
That was a pain.
Sarah, since you have her phone number, do you want to go check with Billy, see if he can help her on the IT? Help her get online? You have her phone number? Thank you.
So, yeah, I knew how to do it.
My grandmother's maiden name was Ruesga, and I've never met another Ruesga in my life. And they were 3 sisters, because her oldest sibling was a boy, and he died in a horse accident.
letting you in?
Porque vivían en rancho en Jalisco. And so I said, oh, if I'd ever change my name, I would change it to Ruesga.
How do you spell that?
Ruezga, Ruezga.
Because we need you for a quorum.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
It's very unusual. Muy fuera del común.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
Billy.
Billy?
Así que no tenemos quórum
Okay,
todavía.
Billy, I know that Mayor Trujillo is trying to get on, but she says it keeps kicking her back out. Okay. Please obtain password from the host. It's what it's, the message she's getting. Sure. Sure. Okay, Mayor Trujillo, I'll hang up because I
Do we
can
not
hear
have a
you
quorum?
in communicating with them.
Once she gets
Okay,
connected,
thanks, bye-bye. Yeah, they're working with her to get her a new password to sign in. I think we're going,
I think we're gonna have to probably postpone the human resources manual.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. You're thinking ahead, I'm with you.
What do you think we're gonna have to do, Norm?
On the human resources manual, postpone that till another meeting, just because I need to leave at 3:50.
When we approve agenda, do you want to dig through it then?
Yeah.
But we need four for a quorum.
Yeah, they're working with Mayor
Diane.
Trujillo.
Y luego, if you leave though, doesn't that break up the quorum?
It does, and so that's why I'm
That's why
saying
we
we
should, we
might
would
have
have
to
to,
postpone the human resources manual till our next meeting.
Yeah,
If we
'cause-
don't, if I see that we're really short on time,
okay, because you have to leave,
by 3:15, I have to
be out of here.
walk out of here by 3:15,
Oh, okay.
okay?
A couple items are very quick, so.
Yeah, hopefully.
The first item, number 8, is we're just doing it again, to change the format. We're dealing with two attorneys with the straight edge.
Yeah, right. No, so David, that article that was published on the SE, that was excellent. I started reading it at yesterday's meeting, you know, because we have our counselors, whatever, reports or comments. But I was so tired, I only read the first paragraph. And it wasn't that long, but anyway. And then I added that there's been some misunderstanding about who gets service, and if they're not members, they don't, but, and then Cassandra was sitting right next to me, and she's the one that actually, you know, called me about that lady. But,
But we're gonna talk about it. Okay. This is gonna be, it's interesting that it's a tight budget year, there's so much money out there. The money's going to the urban areas, not rural.
Yeah, that usually happens.
Somehow, Nora, I don't think you're surprised.
No, I never, they tell us, they're always telling us, there's all this money available, and stuff, and when we start looking into it,
it's not
it's
really.
not available.
But you know what, they should make exceptions for, like our state, our entire state is rural. I mean, because,
In reality, yes, it is.
it's like I think the 5th largest state in the country,
Yes,
and,
we're the largest congressional district in the country right now.
and we're what?
Las Cruces, yeah. We're the largest congressional district in the United States.
Congressional district,
We have the largest service area. So we always get accolades.
We, District 2, CD2?
Yeah.
Is the largest in the country? Oh, geographically speaking, yeah, but in terms of population.
Well, they all have to be the same, so they have to work that number in.
Oh, that's why.
We'll never have more.
For those of you that are online, just to let you know, we're having some technical difficulty trying to get Mayor Commissioner Trujillo connected, so just bear with us a few more minutes.
But anything, anyway, there should be exceptions for, I mean, rural should be looked at more closely and serviced more because of the rural aspect.
I'm here, Chair Barraza.
Okay, we can hear you, Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. Thank you. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order of the South Central Regional Transit District. We are in the boardroom of the Doña Ana County Government Center, and today is Wednesday, June 22nd of 2022. It is approximately 1:41 p.m., and we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag, United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if we could please have a roll call?
Javier Perea is absent. Nora Barraza.
Here.
Meiji Powie, absent. Yvonne Flores.
Here.
Lynn Ellens.
Here.
Kathy Harmon, absent. Diana Murillo.
Present.
Thank you. Peter Atencio, absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, if we could have a motion for approval of the agenda. And at this time, I would, I know we are on a tight time frame again this time. And maybe we will have time, do you think? Pardon? Postpone it? Okay. So at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation that we postpone item number 11, discussion and a resolution approving the Human Resources Manual of 2022, that we postpone that item till our next SCRTD meeting. Other than that, the rest of the agenda?
Do you need a motion?
I so move.
Yes. Okay, we do have a motion on the floor by Mayor Trujillo
Second by Flores.
and second by Councilor Flores for approval of the agenda with the exception of item number 11 of the Human Resources Manual for 2022 be moved to our next regularly scheduled RTD meeting. Do we have any discussion regarding approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Commissioner, we already have a motion on the floor by Mayor Trujillo, but thank you. If there are no comments, questions, discussion, if we could have a roll call, please, to determine.
Nora Barraza,
Yes?
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, public input. I invite anyone from the public to come to the podium, state your name for the record. Okay, hearing and seeing none either on the WebEx. We will go on to the next item, which is approval of the SCRTD meeting minutes of May 25th, 2022. If we could have a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
We do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Flores for approval of the RTD meeting minutes of May 25th, 2022. We could have a second?
Madam Chair, I believe you can second the motion.
Okay, I will second that motion. Okay, any discussion, comments regarding the minutes of May 25th, 2022? Hearing and seeing none. Roll call, please.
Nora Barraza,
Yes?
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo. I can hear her, but she's very faint.
Mayor, Commissioner? Trujillo? Can you hear us? I see her on there. Okay. Commissioner Trujillo? Okay. If nothing else, oh, there's Diane. I can hear you, but we can't hear you. If you could just even do a thumbs up on your screen, that would help. Okay. We do have 3 yeses, am I correct? And the other, at this time, no response. So the motion does pass.
There she is, she's waving. You can go back and.
Okay,
amend
she's
that.
waving, okay. Thank you. So yeah, we do have a yes for the minutes. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Armijo, please.
Thank you. I guess he's loading it. We have some, there it is. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So good afternoon, I'm David Armijo, the Executive Director. Thank you so much. As I open up my report, I'm going to go through 3 items. So actually, if you can, let's see, I can't control it here, so let me move it. I'm going to have to fix this thing. There we go. So I'm going to talk about 3 items today: our fiscal year ridership, our recent approval of the Doñana County agreement, and of course, the New Mexico DOT grant award. But before I start, I'd like to say, since we have 2 visitors added to our group, we have a couple interims from the county. And if they could stand, we have Daisy. Daisy, your last name? Flores. And you're from Anthony. And Ben? Last name? Gaitan. Okay, and where are you from? What school? Gaston. Okay, so that gives you an idea. And actually, the 2 of them very much represent the centerpiece of our bus services that we have in the southern part or center part of the county. Yes?
Are they NMSU students or?
They're high school students, and the county is running a special internship program. I don't even know, it's a lot of students, like a couple hundred?
It's a summer internship program for high school students. We have 5 at the town of Mesilla, so I'm very familiar with the program.
Great, great. It's
The city has,
a bunch.
we have a bunch. Mine? Is it, you're not supposed to hear me. This is off the record. No, we have a ton.
Well, anyway,
Especially in economic
so
development.
they're very, very anxious to participate and to be here today and be able to see this part of the governance experience that they have. So we'll all try to be our best today as we go through this. So thank you very much and welcome for being here. So let me move on to the fiscal year ridership. I'm showing you last year's numbers, and last year actually was really good. I mean, after 5 years, we came in with 53,000. You can see the routes. The red route was over 8,000. And you look at the turquoise and some of the other routes. The orange route, that our newest route at the time, did like 3,000. So we're pretty excited about where we're going with that. Even the green route, which goes up to Hatch, well over 2,600 rides. Then you look at the fiscal year that just ended this month. I projected the ridership out with a very nominal 5% growth, even though if you look at the last couple of months, you can see the numbers have been going up by anywhere from 200 to 1,000 a month or more. And now you see the numbers get much bigger. I mean, the red route carried 9,400. The yellow now is doing some, of its own is 43,000, almost as much as we carried last year overall. And then some of our newest routes, like the copper, just over 1,000. But I still believe as we get more into advertising, doing things, I think that copper with the gateway from Doñana Village coming through downtown Cruces and then kind of going on to Mesilla has a lot of potential. And we'll talk more about that, some other opportunities. The turquoise added in from, I think it was 4,500 last year, now it's up to over 7,000, 7,100. So we had some really good ridership, and we're doing very well. The green route is up over 4,000, so that went up by about 40%. So it usually takes 2 to 3 years for a route to really mature to see where we're going. Now, for the fiscal year, which runs 3 more months, takes us through September, I'm expecting that 77,000 to come in closer to 85, even 90,000. And so our goal for next year for that service could be as much as 10,000 rides. You think back to those early couple of years when we were excited to get to 18,000 after the first year. That's a long time ago. So a lot more services going into that. Now, so the additional ridership of over 24,355 brings us to a growth rate for the last 12 months of 45%. And I would tell you this is probably one of the best rates of growth anywhere in the United States. We've done extremely well, and we'll talk about that when we get to the awards and how we're doing with the state of New Mexico and against our peers. So now I'll move on to our MOU agreement. We've been very fortunate that the county has been very supportive of us. Last year, the county did allow some adjustments to our agreement. We started at 628,000, and we went to like 725,000. So this year, we added another 100,000 to go to capital. So now we're at 825. And I'm going to show you a slide in a moment to see how we've grown over the last 4 years. And this does include an increase in fuel, so we're not going to be coming back asking for more fuel. We programmed that in. But it's unfortunate because fuel used to be $150,000 a year. Now it's $300,000. So a lot of our services are being affected by this fuel price that we're feeling right now. I'll get to the progression on the next slide. So the grant award in my third document here, we did very well. From a ridership point of view, we came in 4th in the state among 23 other operators with 61,398 rides for the fiscal year. And again, that's the number that goes through this coming September. That's the number I think is going to be very close to 90,000. It's going to be probably around 85 to 88. Our operating ratio had us around 11. That's the cost to operate against fuel. But where we really did well was in the cost per passenger trip. We came in 2nd among the 23 other agencies with an average cost of $14.22. Our cost per vehicle mile was only $2.32. We also came in 2nd there. The RTPO, our regional government, gave us a #1 rating. Of course, other agencies also got #1 in that category. We were #1 for the administrative operating budget expended. So this is based on how much we spent. So we would get credit to Adam for getting every dollar he could. This is our first year we got to 100%. We've been in the upper 98th percentile, struggling to find ways to get the state to pay to give us more money. But we hit it last year for the first time. And I know that Adam will hit it again, because if not, we'll be asking him why not. So good job, Adam. So the next category is Administrative Operating Award. We were #2 in the state. This one's kind of interesting, and then I'll come back to it, but I'll jump to the Funding Distribution Index. We're #1 in the entire state. All 23 operators under rural transit, we came in #1. And our ratio was 3.29. So what does that mean? Well, one of the numbers that they gave us is if you go back to the ridership, we carried 11% of the ridership in the entire state of New Mexico for rural, but we only got 4.5% of the funding. So they need to give us more money, simply. And I'll be having those conversations with them. Make this short. Because we started wrong.
Wrong?
Yeah. I was on a phone call to,
Mayor Barraza?
oh no, I'm going way back. I'm going back to Hancock. And we discussed this when I was at MTA in LA. I said to him, why are you not getting grant funding back in 2016, 2015, actually that fall? Yeah. And the answer was, well, they want to see how we do, and then we'll figure out how to budget for you. So the bottom line is we've always been budgeted based on that ridership number. Well, when you start, it's like any business. You don't figure out how many restaurants survive their first year. So you grow, you get bigger and you go forward. It takes you a while to mature. Town of Mesilla is different today than it was 10 years ago, I would imagine, as would be Sunland Park, as would be Anthony. But we have always been catching up. So it's great that we reached the number one. I think next year, I predict it right now, we'll be number 2 in ridership. And it's going to take us one more year to beat that. But we're going to keep these numbers in there. And so my hope would be to have nice conversations. Now, the entire state of New Mexico in the awards lost 30% of ridership across the board year over year. 30% loss. We're up.
Wow,
So we're like almost the only one.
that's awesome.
We did that, and just to reiterate, because it's really the board, it's all about what we did. We held to our school districts. So when the pandemic hit 2 years ago, we cut 15% of the service because the schools weren't open. We kept everything else going. 2, county stood by us with funding, the memberships and so on, and we kept our service going. That allowed us. We didn't lose riders. We didn't lose, we lost some riders, but we got most of them back. And then we kept our employees here, and we actually expanded. We added the copper service. We broke the silver from the purple, but actually a different service, and that did very well. So a lot of the things that we invested in did very well, even though our budgets actually stayed pretty close to what they have been. And so at the end of the day, our investment, and then we followed the 10-year plan. I say that all the time now. That 10-year plan has paid for itself, believe me. And we've used that when we looked at going for the electric vehicles and a lot of the other stuff. So those investments that really go back 3 and 4 years ago is why we did this. Now, here's the challenge. So if we look at operating revenues of 4-year progression, I want to leave you with this story. So if you go back fiscal year 2020, which is really 3 years now, we were focused for a couple of years where the county had us frozen at 479, both in 2020 and 2021. So our money growth really came from the CARES Act and the money that was coming in from the federal government during the pandemic. And you can see the numbers coming along and growing. And then you see that as we go into 2023, our numbers are higher. We did really well with the GRT out of the county last year, as I mentioned, I think it's 723, 725, whichever. And this year, actually, that number is 825. You see there, the 100,000 is in the capital. It's not in the operating revenues. But so we've done very, very well. But as you go down to the third line, you start to see the 5311. So the state was giving us 426, then it went to 601, and then it went to 841 during the pandemic. That's the CARES Act money. Now it's down to 739, but actually it's less than that. We're getting intercity funds to the tune of about $200,000. Otherwise, that would be about 500,000 or even 540. So it's because of the fact that we've grown and the state is helping us with that because we're doing more urbanized as well as rural, that we're getting more funding. But at the end of the day, that number comes out to a shortfall of 84,000. So we make up the shortfall because we still have some reserves coming in from operating capital that will offset that. So it's really the expiration of the CARES Act in 2022, the minimal carryover that we have in 2022-23, and then the funding from the 5307. Now I'll go back. So 5307 funds, we haven't touched those funds yet. We're projecting 123,000 out of the 796,000 or 696,000. So, and then that's one of the reasons why we're using the county funds of the 100,000 to match that. So those are funds that Adam and I are still working to get our application in. In fact, when we go to item number 8 and we approve that, that's the first of the 3 contingents that we're doing to get funding from the regional office. We're now a direct grant recipient. And so the first level of that is dealing with a legal authority. And so when the board approves item number 8, that gives us a legal authority to actually apply for those funds. And then we work on all the other things that we do, everything from our drug policies, how we train the operators, and all the other different things that I won't go into, safety and so on. Our insurance that we have with the state of New Mexico, all those things will be provided as we go forward until we start to get release of those. Now, there are additional funds that could be pulled in if we need those. We're hoping not to do that, but we'll talk more about that. So my last slide on this is that, and I guess this is a summation of it. So under the DOT funding, we were awarded additional funds for our services and for doing very, very well. But it's because of the federal funds kind of vanishing in the process that makes it look like we're getting less money, but for a fact is we're kind of holding our own. We will be able to operate our very tight budget this coming year, even with the reduction of those funds. And that means our current bus routes will be operated as scheduled. We will be looking for efficiencies in the operations. One of the things we're looking at, for example, is our green route, which goes to Hatch and on up to Garfield. Well, going to Garfield and Salem adds an extra 20-plus miles round trip back to Hatch. We're only carrying one person per day. And so that's kind of an expensive thing with fuel prices as they are. So that might be an efficiency that we could cut back from the schedule. So we'll be looking at things like that, where there's some other opportunities where we can move the resources around. That brings an end to my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. We covered one of the items today. I know that Adam's going to go through the budget with you, and so some of that you'll probably hear a second time.
Okay.
Yes,
So on item 8,
your microphone.
Your microphone.
I thought you said, I propose.
So it
I'm
can.
deaf. I'm deaf and dumb. Okay, so we're going to be voting on item 8, and you made reference to that.
Yes.
But we approved it last time, but there's a change in the
It's a
resolution.
modification.
What
So our
happened?
local attorney, Mr. Cadillo, in concert with our DC attorney, Katie, I can't remember her last name. Remember the name? Katie Johnson or something like that. Anyway, he felt that the form should have my name on it. So my name and our Mayor Padilla. So we added those signatures. Before we had the signature from our clerk at this end over here that does the minutes. So that's how it was arranged from the form that was provided to us from the Federal Transit Administration. They've decided we should be similar to the process that we have here locally.
So, but Becky's signature on there would be almost like a certification,
Correct. So
but then your
now they're feeling
attorneys.
that certification should come from my position as well as Mayor Padilla, or today it would be Nora Baraza, the mayor, and that.
Who will
because-
sign in Mayor Perea's
Correct.
absence.
Correct.
So it's nothing else is going to
It's
change.
more
though.
ceremonial is what I've been
Okay,
told.
okay, good.
mean,
I just wanted to know if there was anything
I honestly
substantive.
deferred the legal to the two attorneys,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Okay, thank you.
thank you. But it actually is going to be the most important thing we do. I know we have a lot of work that Ed and I have to do, but this actual simple means is the kickoff. The regional office won't do anything without it.
Okay.
So you guys are more important than he and I.
Great. Okay, any other
questions?
For Mr. Armijo?
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to verify that Mayor Commissioner Trujillo can hear us. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that brings us on to item number 8. For discussion and approval of a revised resolution authorizing the filing of Section 5307 application with the Federal Transit Administration. Mr. Armijo?
I got mine on. Yes, thank you. As I said a moment ago, this item is specifically to help us get a local authority and approval so that we can submit for the grant application for the Section 5307 urban funds for this region for the fiscal year 2022, which began in October 1st of last year. The funds did not get released from the U.S. government until April of this past year, but will remain in effect for 5 years after they are actually provided to us. So one of the advantages we have is even though we're starting late on the calendar, we're actually right on track.
Okay.
Getting these funds.
Okay, I'm just looking for that resolution in our packet here.
I am too.
Which one? On 5307?
The revised resolution.
It's right after the minutes. Right after last month's minutes.
It's page 12,
Yeah.
12 and 13.
Okay, so it's Resolution 2020-25?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, if we could have a motion on the floor, please, for approval of the revised resolution 2022 2025, authorizing the filing of Section 5307, application with the Federal Transit Administration. If we could
So
have a
moved.
motion.
So moved by Flores.
Commissioner Lenz made the motion.
You mean Ellen?
I'm sorry, Allens,
Second by Flores.
and seconded by Counselor Flores. I am so sorry, I have my different boards mixed up here. So just to clarify that, the motion was made by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Counselor Flores. Any further discussion regarding this resolution? Hearing and seeing none, if we could take a roll call, please?
Nora Barraza,
Yes?
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo. I heard that. She said yes.
Okay, the motion does pass. And so I'm just trying to clarify something in my mind. Is it Commissioner Murillo?
No.
Mayor.
What, Commissioner, Mayor?
Oh, yes. Wait a minute, she.
And
She's
it-
represented as
Okay,
mayor.
yeah, but I'm just trying to clarify, is it Trujillo or Murillo right now? Murillo. Okay, sorry, Diane.
Mayor.
Okay,
We'll get it right.
yes, we will. Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion of FY 2023 NMDOT 5311 award for funding. Mr. Amijo?
Yes, thank you. I did cover much of this in my presentation under the Executive Director's report. However, what I do want to say is that we received this information a week ago, which gave Adam and I a little bit of time to kind of work through it. And I will say this, we had some interesting moments as we went through it. I will also remind you, he's going to present in a moment, so this is just a discussion item, but those numbers are now included in his presentation, and that we will be taking action on that as part of the preliminary budget for the coming year. We would expect to come back next month and finalize the budget. This allows Adam to proceed from today so he can submit to the Department of Finance Administration for the budget year.
Okay, very good.
Keeps us on time. Thank you.
So if we could have a motion on the floor, please, for approval of resolution number FY 22-26.
So
No,
moved.
we're not, we haven't presented that. He's going to do that now.
Well,
No, he's going to do that. Mine was just discussion.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
You're fine.
I
You're
am-
fine. I was trying to introduce
I'm
you.
trying to be one step ahead, and I'm not doing a very good job of it, so I
Now we're there.
apologize. So the next item will be
Number 10.
oh, the agenda.
the discussion and the
resolution.
resolution approving the preliminary FY 2023 budget. Adam, and I won't go forward anymore, I'll stick to what we have.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Appreciate it. Welcome to the board members for this particular follow-up, I guess, presentation of the preliminary budget for the fiscal year 2023. It's been kind of a challenge due to the fact that because CARES went away, and I guess it went back to normal, the way it was prior to CARES, or prior to the pandemic. And we have had growth, so that has been a good thing. And fortunately, we have received the funding that we are getting. At this point, this is the preliminary award that we are getting from the state. Now, what I did is on the first several pages, I put a highlight of revenue and capital as well as expenditures. There will be a decrease of 1.8% in the operating revenue from fiscal year 2022. And fortunately, we did receive, or we're supposed to receive as much as we require to be able to continue our operations. The total operating revenue of $2,022,241.89. It is decreased by $38,000 from the fiscal year 2022. The revenue less expenditures, that gives us a balance of about $12,524.20. Now, Next, we have our capital appropriations, which is an increase, and that is due to the fact that we have submitted for buses that we have not yet received, and a lot of that is carryover from 2022 into 2023. Those funds, I believe that they're a 5-year, is it a 5-year or 3?
Yes, David Armijo. The 5307 is a 5-year.
Thank you.
The 5311 or 5339, which these are, 5339 is multiple years, but they're held by the state of New Mexico. So they give us 1 year to spend it or encumber it. And since we do have a contract for the buses, we've encumbered it. So that can carry over for at least 3 years, is my understanding. But it's in the thing with the state. So these funds have been carried over from 2021. Now they're being carried over again from 2022. We've been waiting on buses for 2 years. 3 buses are late coming in.
And fortunately, some of those buses are, we're trying to go to the electric or the zero emissions. So that has an impact. And because of the pandemic, they didn't get started rebuilding buses until late. And so we're kind of on the waiting list. But those funds have been encumbered for us to be able to use in succeeding years. That's why it's a carryover from 2022 into 2023.
But
Yes.
Chair, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question. Okay, so my question is this. There's been delays because of COVID, and then because of COVID, there's also an increase in all materials, it seems. So are we, though, however, because we've had contracts prior to all that, will they honor the contract price? Or?
Yes, they've been encumbered. Since we've got a contract with the providers of those vehicles, when they get in, we'll get our buses.
Okay, so we're not looking
So since we have a
at an
contract
increase?
with them, it is eligible to carry over into the next fiscal year.
Well, let me try to answer it, because the answer is yes and no.
That's what I figured.
Oh,
So the answer is yes. The state has adjusted the budget from a year ago to last year to now. And that was significant. It was about 35,000 per bus. So they did adjust. However, those numbers are not even, you can't buy them for that. They're actually now moving up from what used to be a $98,000 bus, which is always way too low, to 118, 138. Now, we're now talking 170 and up on some of these buses. So where we get hurt is the state will help us on the federal side of it. They will not help us on the local match. So then we start scrambling for the local match. And that's part of what's hurt us in previous years, where the numbers, because we haven't seen these increases now for the last 3 years. We're seeing increases before the pandemic. So the difference with the pandemic is we're getting increases, but we're not getting buses. I mean, so on paper, it's costing us more money for something that we don't have or not even going to get. Now, I will say that as we speak, as we were talking today at lunch, so we actually have a bus coming in next week. So we've managed to work through a lot of interesting things with the state to help us get another bus. And we're actually going to buy it at the old rate. So we're going to write that one off and save some money. And then we just picked up about 3 months ago a used bus from one of the Indian tribes up north. And that's an even longer story. So we've continued to build and keep up, even though we've lost 2 buses during this pandemic that we had to retire. So even with the one that's coming in next week and the one we got in March, we're just staying even. And the buses are getting older. So we're nervous. We're hoping this will change soon.
That's our biggest challenge at this point, is maintaining the buses that we do have until the buses that we have ordered come in.
But you
Does that
don't.
answer your question?
Well, yes and no, because now, not only am I confused, I'm also dazed. No. So I'm not sure about that there's still a possibility that the price will go up, or so did the contract lock in the price irrespective of all the,
Increases that are potential?
right?
Yes.
That's what I would imagine.
Pardon me?
So I'm glad you confirmed that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and even if not, the state has committed that they will work with a vendor and us.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is, the bottom line is, we won't be hurt on the federal side, we're going to be hurt on the local much. That we have to pay out of our pocket. So as the cost goes up, like 30,000, 20% of that we pay, so 6,000 of that we did not budget. And this has been part of the problem. Adam's been scrambling, because we start the budget year now, we're looking at what we think we're going to do next year, but those numbers are going to change as we go.
But didn't you just say that the contract price?
Contract
Locked
price is what
in.
we have got locked in. However,
in.
I think there's a provision within the contract that once the bus is finished and ready for shipment, that there is a potential that it'll increase.
It's a state contract, and the state has latitude with their vendors, because it's multiple year, that if things change beyond their control, this is
Beyond their control.
kind of your force majeure. You know, we're playing into some of these, back to French, we're playing into some of these things that are beyond anybody's control. At the end of the day, what I am saying is the state is committed to paying for the inflated costs, but as that goes up,
So
we
will
have to
our
make up the
portion.
difference locally, so it's still hurting us.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
So the increase in capital appropriations brings us to $1,372,627.18. And that provides for an addition of an additional van for our van pool program, and addition of 2 more buses. And again, we're carrying over funds from fiscal year 22 into 23. Capital balance after the local match would be $75,104.76 to our favor, which allows us to include that with the balance that we have carry over from the operating budget of $12,000, giving us a balance of $87,628.96, which we are, and hopeful, be able to put into our bank account. Is there a question regarding revenue and capital? Our expenditures. Our expenditures have worked out as a decrease of 9.3%. Now, this top section is only covering those sections that are included here: travel and maintenance, supplies, insurance, projects, contractual services, and operating expenses. I've included the personnel expenses down below, as the board has requested some additional information regarding COLA, or a cost of living adjustment, for the next fiscal year. The above, or the portions of expenditures that to date, with the salaries and wages and employee benefits listed there for a total of $1,400,237.68, is an 11.3% increase over fiscal year 22. But those do not include the requested figures as far as a COLA. Down below, there is COLA listings for at 3.5%, 4%, and 5%. Now, this does not include a merit increase, as the discussion was focused on a COLA, and all to help our employees considering the cost of inflation and all. Now, if we were to include a 3.5% COLA with our personnel figures, that's an additional $38,525.99. And that covers an overall 17.1% of the operating budget. However, our budget would increase by up to 6.1% overall. Same thing with the 4% and the 5%. There is additional portions or additional amounts, and it also increases our overall budget by 6.4% at 4% and 7% at 5%. If you would like to see further detail as far as what that is made up of, it's not included here. The expenditures section include, okay, thank you. It was on a different document that I had loaded. Excuse me. What you're seeing on this particular page is the expenditures detailed. Okay, from the fiscal year 2023, that's columns H through J, that does not include a COLA, whereas L through N is the 3.5, P through R is the 4%, and so on. Down at the bottom, it is a breakdown of how those amounts interact with the total overall budget.
Adam, I have a
Yes, ma'am.
question. Okay. So our revenue page, what is our projected revenue? Again, I'm sorry,
Projected revenue,
it's 2,022,000.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then, can you go back to that expenditure page?
The expenditures,
Yes, sir.
yes, ma'am. Now, with the fiscal year 23 budget that is proposed without a COLA, gives us expenditures of $2,009,717.69. And then if we were to provide a 3.5% COLA, that would have expenditures of $2,048,243.68, and so on with 4%, and then, of course, 5%, as requested by the board.
Okay, so I saw the revenue, which is the
$2,022,000, yes, ma'am.
and if we project a 3.5% COLA increase for all employees, we would have a deficit of about $26,000?
That is correct. However, the increase or the capital that we are able to, or the portion that is supposed to go to capital on, let me point it out
When you say
here.
capital, as I walked in, I saw the $89,000 that would be left over for carryover?
That
Is that what you're talking
that's a
about?
portion that is coming over as a carryover, and it gives us an amount that we are able to use. That 87,000 is a total after capital and expenditures for the fiscal year as outlined.
So if we gave the 3.5% COLA increase and then tapped into that carryover, the 89,000, then we would have $63,000 to carry over.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just from looking at these figures like this, I'm most comfortable doing the 3.5% so that you do have at least a little bit of money to carry over. A cushion money is how we see it.
Absolutely. The thing about it is when it comes to the actuals versus budget, we don't know exactly how things are going to impact us for those expenditures that we are foreseeing. And we might have an amount that's a lot lower than what is projected.
Right. I'm just thinking the cost of fuel alone is enough to wipe that out pretty fast.
Absolutely. But in this budget, we have increased it to $324,000 for the fiscal year.
Yeah.
As nasty as that sounds,
No, I mean, we're doing the same thing with our budgets at the town of Mesilla, and as we're closing out this year, we're in the deficit in our fuel costs. So I truly understand, and I kind of foresee it going up still a little bit higher before it starts to come down again.
and that's kind of what we've given ourselves as a cushion that might happen. Mr. Armijo has been amazing in approaching the county to request additional funds to cover those particular costs. And fortunately, they have been very kind enough to provide those.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And then, I mean, they too will probably end up in the same situation as all
I wouldn't doubt it.
municipalities have. So, but then I hate not to give the employees some kind of a cost of living increase. And so I don't know how the other board members feel, but I think at this time, based on what the revenue is, and then still trying to allow a little bit of cushion to move, carry over, I would be most comfortable with a 3.5. But then I had another question also. If you go back to the personnel salaries, that breakdown, because I did see an increase No, not that one. There was another one.
You're talking about the,
It just, one of the slides that you had just shown.
this one here that
The one that
provides,
says personnel?
down here at the
Looked like
bottom?
that. Yeah, and it showed a percent increase. Is that due to fringe benefits going up, or what is added staff?
It's not added staff, it's the current staff that we have. It's just that it's an increase in the amounts that taxes,
Okay,
and then, of course, retirement.
okay.
So based on those increases,
So we're talking possibly, even if we don't do a COLA, it's at 13% increase. And if we do the 3.5% increase, it would be a 17.1%.
well, the 17.1, for instance, is the portion of personnel of the entire budget
Okay.
and all.
On personnel and employee benefits, okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Counselor Flores?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again, Mr. Shea. So how much of the increase, whether it's 3.5, 4.0, or 5.0%, how much of that goes to COLA, and how much is a merit increase, and how is that determined, and by
Okay,
whom?
on this particular page here that I'm showing,
Yeah, that's the one I wanted
Yes,
to.
that one. That's the
well,
one I'm looking.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
How much of the 3.5% or 4.0% or 5.0%, not O, but 0%, is allocated to COLA and which is allocated to merit, and then how is that determined and by whom?
Okay, at this point with these figures, it's an overall 3.5%. Whether we call it a COLA, a merit increase, is up to the board. We could have it half and half. We could have, for instance, a 4% and go 2% and 2%. 2% towards merit increase, 2% towards COLA. What I provided is a flat amount of the 4%, 3.5%, 4%, and 5%, how that would impact it. On this page here, for instance, down at the bottom, it indicates how much that is an increase into the employee benefit or wages and benefits. For instance, 3.5%, it's an additional $38,525.99.
But Mr. Shea, who determines that it's a merit increase? Or are you saying that is that just the heading it goes under? It's just the formality? There's no real substance? There's no real merit evaluation on an employee?
At this point, we were asked to provide a COLA, and a COLA based on the 3.54 and 5% respectively. And the board from last board meeting.
The last time?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. And that's what was provided, because I had additionally, what I had put on there was a 3.5% merit increase, if you recall from
I
the
recall.
last month.
Yes,
And all, but then we just started discussing about the COLA.
yes.
And all. We did not provide a COLA originally. We did a 3.5 merit increase. And again, the merit increase is dependent upon an employee's evaluation.
Right.
And then the supervisor's input as far as increase, what have you.
Right.
And all, but up to 3.5%. And all, but
And I
COLA
remember
was the
that
main thing.
I
discussion.
remember that
I
discussion.
do, and I think it was we kind of all agreed to call it a COLA because with the cost of living going up for everyone, whether it's groceries or fuel or daycare, we just felt that all employees deserved a COLA.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then merit, is based on performance, which we're hoping everyone has a good performance. But with the COLA, each employee is guaranteed that 3.5% increase
Correct,
versus the merit.
correct.
So we'll just, our vote today will clarify or establish the amount.
That's correct.
And so And I think that, yes, I recall our meeting where we discussed that it'd be best to go with COLA only. I mean, but it doesn't matter. You just put a slash for your purposes, but the effect is that all employees would get the increase. And would it really break the bank if we went to 4% or 5% on COLA?
Well, again, with the 4%, it's adding 44,000.
So that's $6,000 more, and then
Yes.
another 9,000, another 9,000. So,
Would be 55,000. Now, keep in mind that we have basically 87,000 left in the bank without a COLA. With a COLA, we're reducing that amount that we're leaving in the bank. Does that make sense?
no.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I was wondering, because right now, the way the budget is set up, Councilor Flores, we only have in revenue $2,022,000
Right.
in revenue. Our anticipated
Down at the bottom.
operations
Oh, yeah.
is probably that full amount, correct?
The 2,009,000.
Yeah.
That is the budget.
The
That is
budget,
correct.
what our expenditures are. Excuse me. And so what Mr. Shea is saying is that he talked about the $89,000 that we had carryover. That's the money that we are going to have to use for carryover for any emergencies for upcoming year. And then any COLAs that we give has to come out of that $89,000.
Right.
So if we give a 3.5% increase, that'll leave us about $63,000 to carry over. And that's for any unforeseen expenditures that we have not accounted for in our budget. If we go with the other, that would leave us, I was just calculating.
Well, if we did 44, or if we
would
did
leave us
4%.
$45,000 if we go with the 4%. If we go with the 5%, that's even less. I mean, I think that would leave us like $26,000 carryover. And so I don't think that
It
this
would be
board
sound.
wants to get ourselves in such a tight pickle that we don't have that extra carryover for unexpected expenditures. So I would be comfortable with a 3.5% COLA. And mid-year, I mean, if we can see that our expenditures are less than we anticipated, we can possibly consider maybe another 1 or 2% cost of living increase or a merit pay, something like that. But I think based on the budget that is being presented to us this evening, I would feel comfortable with going with a 3.5% COLA, knowing that it's going to be coming out of that $89,000 carryover.
Yes, ma'am, you make a very good point. Just keep in mind that this is a preliminary budget.
Yes.
And things can change. We could get
It could go
additional
up or
funding.
down,
So
So if we did anything, if we did the 4.0, it'd be a little bit, it would deplete that 89,000. And how, I mean,
cut it in half.
$89,000 sounds like a lot of money to me, especially since, you're a city councilor. But that can go in a heartbeat, given, this business. So do you see that that amount being replenished, or can it be drawn from another fund, or can it, how liquid or how fragile is that? I mean, either.
if we were to do the COLA, call it a COLA, give everybody 3.5%, that would increase our wage or the amount that's going out as far as personnel by about $2,500 a month. And all, because that would be an additional expenditure of about $38,000.
Right.
Now, another thing that I'm going to be very cautious of in this next fiscal year is the amount that we're spending. And if
Because
we can save, for instance, on supplies, if we can need engine or something to that effect, and we are able to go to a reputable manufacturer and gain an engine at a lower cost, I want to be able to do that. It's one thing that I'm trying to oversee as it is the overall expenditures going out the door, so to speak.
So, Mr. Shea, does that mean that you can move certain, is this like a general fund that you can dip into in the event we do have repairs? This isn't expenses insofar as personnel aren't allocated exclusively for that, or is it movable?
Well, if you recall, when we've done amendments at quarter end,
Yeah.
okay, we've been able to move funds from
Right.
one account to another. It's all in the general fund.
Okay.
Okay, but we have allocated based on what we've come up with the budget amounts in certain headings. Okay, when we look at the budget at the quarter end and we find out that we didn't spend a lot in supplies, for instance, but we really spent a lot and we went over our budget for, I don't know, parts,
Yeah.
for bus parts or something like that.
You
We
can move it.
approved and we moved those amounts around.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at here, the total amount of about $2,009,000 without the COLA. With the COLA, it was $2 million. Oh, I didn't include the page, I'm sorry. Adding about 38,000 onto that, it would be 2,047,000.
Okay. So if I would be comfortable and willing to go with 3.5, and I mean, frankly, I wish we could do the 5.0 plus merit increases. But just given the economy and how everything's really plunging, although there's some hope, Biden said this morning that there should be I think he called it a
Tax
vacation.
relief.
A holiday,
A holiday, I was going to say vacation, but he
a
called
gas
it
tax holiday or
federal
something like that.
tax, which is 38 cents per gallon. So maybe the governor will declare.
That would be so nice.
And then,
It would be nice, but
Realistically,
no,
yeah.
I'm just saying, no, I know. No, I'm not going to bank on it, believe me. I'm not a gambler anyway, so, no way, Jose. It's like, I work too hard for my money. But, but if that were to happen, then we'd have more money.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll have a better thing. So can we do do we do a review in December again? of
We
our
most
budget?
definitely could. I mean, if it's the wishes of the board to just kind of look at our budget mid-year and see where we stand and see what our
You think-
expenditures are,
okay.
because by mid-year, we have a better understanding as to what our expenditures have been. Unless there's something unforeseen that we just don't know, like you said,
And that
an engine
it could
breaks
go
down,
either way.
transmission,
But it
something
would
like
be
that.
revealed at that time.
Right. And I would rather we bank a little bit of money rather than have to be going out for loans if we don't have to.
And that is something
Because that
else.
taps into our revenue, that taps into our expenditures, and we're trying to keep those down.
And that is something else that is not included in this budget is any loans,
Right, okay,
Well, we want to stay away from that if we can.
if we can.
yeah. So, any other questions?
That's the hope anyway.
Mr.
Thank you.
Armijo?
Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
So I wanted to add to Adam's presentation and saying a couple of things that might give the board some confidence. The first is that we pretty well underrun our budget last year by a significant amount of money, as I recall. It was, even though it was a tough year, we would have been more significant, except that we spent a lot of money in maintenance towards the end, fuel, tires, and so on, and we still are. We always budget pretty much a full load, because we're required to on benefits and things. And typically, those are the areas that we don't necessarily have everybody drawing some of the benefits. So we expect that we will see some savings, but you can't start day one with the savings. So we have to
Right.
earn the savings and manage that. That's one. The second part is next Monday, Adam will be in Santa Fe for a state conference talking about procurements. Sarah's not going, but she's going to be on the phone. I'm not going to be available for that. But the bottom line is what that's going to take us towards is a discussion by Creative Bus Sales in the state of New Mexico about all those carryovers that we have on the sheet on capital. So as a result of the carryovers, we've got like $800,000 in the capital there. We also have about 200, 300,000, whatever in local match. So if some of those buses are going to be deferred another year, those local match dollars could then become available. Now, I would not say that we're going to take it and spend it.
Right.
And I would tell you, it is certainly Adam and I's quest to bank it. You know, our goal is to get our reserves up to $200,000 this coming year. We don't want to be in a situation. As it is, in the next week, we're paying 20% for the bus that's coming in out of our pocket. We will pay for the balance of the bus within 30 days. And then we can submit, once the checks go through to the contractor, to get reimbursed by the state for the 80%. So on a $90,000 bus, there you go. So we have to carry a lot. So we have to have a couple $100,000 in the bank. I think right as of this morning, we had like 130,000, 135, something like that. And that's going to go down very quickly as we're spending bills.
Right.
So, you know, we've worked pretty hard to get there. We've been a lot worse than where we are
Right.
now. So even as you look at these numbers, the last thing I will say is that even looking at the capital sheet, we do have, even without any of the stuff that Adam has said, we have $74,000 of excess cash. So if we make a decision today, whether we do 3.5%, 4%, or 5%, we do have the funds to do it, and we have the knowledge of what we have to do to bring the number in. And it's certainly our commitment to do that without having to do a credit loan. Hopefully someday we'll have better work with the state, because it really would be nice if the state could, you know, pay us a little quicker. But they do as best they can, so we're doing well this month. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So, you know, we're confident that whatever you choose to recommend, that we're going to be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Armijo.
Thank you.
And so, Commissioner Allens, any comments?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Murillo? No comments. Okay, thank you. So, I guess, Councilor Flores, yeah, just, I think when, did we have a motion on the floor for this? We did not, huh? We do not. So we're going to need a motion on the floor, and in our motion, we need to give a percent of the amount of cost of living increase we want to give employees, correct? Mr. Chair? Yeah. Okay, so at this time, if we could have a motion on the floor for approval of the preliminary fiscal year 2023 budget with a 3.5% cost of living increase for all employees?
So moved by Flores.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor by Councilor Flores. If we could have a second? Okay, I will second that motion. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, we will call for a vote.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes. Okay. Motion does pass. Thank you so much. Okay, the next item is going to be discussion of the correspondence from the city of Elephant Butte regarding withdrawal from the SCRTD. Mr. Armijo?
Yes, thank you very much. We received a call, actually, I think, Adam, you got the call earlier this month, within the last 2 weeks. I followed up with the city manager, and then from there, we got a letter, which was sometime around I think it was the 6th of June. But the letter is dated in early part, like maybe May 5th, May 6th, but anyway, it's in here. But between the letter and the conversation I had with the city manager, so let me do the conversation first, to be fair. So we've had this discussion off and on about what we can do in getting to Sierra County. As you can see from today's discussion, our budgets are pretty lean and mean, and the state's just not giving us enough resources so we can go up there and do what we want to do. I have had some conversations with the state, and I'll continue to pursue those as to whether or not we can do some kind of a pilot and find some way to get some additional funds to go do it. I did talk to Meiji Powie, and we had a good conversation last week, and so She hasn't given me any indication of what she wants to do next. But she did indicate that they'd even be willing to accept some kind of a local service, if not to connect between the two counties, which is unfortunate, but maybe that's a way to start, and maybe that's a pilot, and I'll certainly pursue that with the state. But with that said, the nature of the letter and the conversation with the city manager are consistent. So the letter is the intent for the city to withdraw from the district. We got a similar letter about 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I guess, from Truth or Consequences as well. So that's been very difficult for us to see that. I know that I went back and looked at the bylaws, and I was surprised to see that when we first were identified back in 2006, I believe. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that one, Mayor, but as a, well, I think that's when we joined, but I think it was 2003 when the intergovernmental agreement was made. So 2003 would be the correct date. I had not remembered this, but the city of Socorro was also in the service area.
Were they
at that
really?
very beginning. And I Googled that to figure that. I know where Socorro is. I've been there many times. It's 146 miles from here.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow, that would have been, without a doubt, the largest region of all the districts. So it is very unfortunate to see that. I don't think just by this nature, the bottom line is by the letter as well as the conversation, they are still very interested. They just want to see some service.
Right.
So I think we pursue that as best we can. We have been pursuing it. It didn't come in this year's award, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with the state and see if there's enough reserve funds, and there may be, that we could try to do something. And so I will further that cause, and I'll bring that back to the board after I've had conversations over the next month.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Armijo. And I'm very sorry to hear that because as you all know, I've been trying to push us getting service out there to that area, Sierra County area. And it saddens me to hear that I think we were almost there. But I know that Meiji Poway is, I think she and I, that we're making that our mission is to provide coverage over there. And I think a pilot program might be a good idea in which direction to go. But I'm just sorry to hear that Elephant Butte has decided to withdraw. So, any other comments? None. Okay. So, who was the representative for? I know Edna was for a while. Kathy? Okay. Harmon, that's right. And I know back in the day that at the time Mayor Green was a strong advocate of trying to get service out there. So I just hope that becomes a reality for that area. So on that note, do we have any other board comments? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to our next meeting is scheduled for July 25th, 2022.
I meant to have you change on the agenda. It's actually the 27th.
Oh, the 27th.
My error.
Okay. So our next meeting is on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, here at the Doñana Government Building. And if there are no further comments, discussion, we will adjourn this meeting. And if there are no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.